But look, they're putting a genuine internal Chinese martial artist in this game, which emphasizes rooting, bursting power, and chi development, which you see with, and replacing Wang with Leroy is like saying you don't need Hiachi because you have Kazuya. What's up, YouTube? Ozzy back with another video, ex-Tekken veteran, ex-Tekken event organizer, and I want to do a special video on this man called Wang Jin Ray and why he's not in Tekken anymore. Why isn't he? He's just gone, right? And there's a character who was there like from the beginning. I remember buying Tekken from Blockbuster and seeing this character, Wang. He trained Ling Xiaoyu. Are you forgetting? Who trained Ling Xiaoyu? It's him. Wang trained Ling Xiaoyu. Today we're going to talk about why this matters, why this guy matters. Not just for the fans of the character, but where his absence says about where Tekken is heading, where the franchise is going. So look, let's start from the Exodus. This is the beginning now, right? Wang, his name is Wang Jin Ray. That's his full name, yeah? And he's a Chinese martial artist, guys. And this reminds me of the old Kung Fu. Now, this reminds me of the old Kung Fu martial arts where you had the classic, powerful old men who you knew not to fuck with. They were the guys, yo. Not the young and up-and-coming guys. I remember there was a TV show. It was a British Kung Fu master. I don't know. He thought he was some badass till he went to China. And these old men whooped his ass. And they were like 80, 90 doing muscle ups. It's crazy. He was a real traditional Chinese internal martial art focused on explosive, close range, power rooted in the concept of combining heart, mind, and body into unified force. Yeah? Wang is the oldest playable human character apart from Jinpachi, guys, in Tekken history. Not Heihachi, but Wang. Yeah? So, Heihachi got to put some respect on Wang. And what's interesting about him right off the gate, just looking at this gameplay, is he's got a mixture of Michelle's moves. And I miss Michelle as well. I don't know why she got cut. But you see some of the moves here. I don't know. Michelle, did he teach Michelle? That I don't know. But look, one thing we have to take away from this character, yeah? He's not there for money, revenge, or power, or any of this meaningless stuff in the world anyway. He's there because he believes in something. And here's a rare Tekken fighter who operates on principle. Guys, we use that term very lightly, principle. Honestly, guys, this is one of the most emotional, devastating moments in entire Tekken history. And it happens to a character that is a huge chunk of the fan base wrote off as just the old guy. He's not. This Tekken 5 ending where Jinpachi reaches his hand, and it's just, I wish we could have had one last drink together, man. Look. But I'm afraid my time has come. It was fun. That was just deep. That's not just good character writing, guys, for Wang and Jinpachi. That's emotional for everything that Mishima Saga is built on. And look, like a shooting star. Gone too soon. This is beautiful. The idea that the tragedy at the center of the series started with a broken friendship and they got rekindled. Wang carries that tragedy on his back. And guys, this is when Tekken was deep. Yeah? You're like on a hillside. And I don't know whose grave this is. You know, this is, if someone in the comments can help me. And he's pouring some liquor for his homies, man. This is what the homies do in the hood. Watching this now as a grown man, it hits hard. Because I've buried really close friends of mine in the past couple of years. And just to fob this guy off as just an old man, you could tell he's grieving, he's missing his friends. And this is why Wang Jin Ray is deep. Tekken 8, you can't relate to any of this stuff. Now, if you're in your 20s or 25, you're not going to really understand this. But when you hit around 40, you start seeing things differently. And me seeing this as a kid, I would never understand it, guys. Never. Me as a grown man now watching this, man, this it hits home. And the developers were ahead of their time. I have to give them that. I have to give them that. You have to big them up. They were ahead of their time. Okay, so fast forward to Tekken 6 now, and Wang hasn't stopped moving, right? He shows up in the scenario campaign mode. Tekken 6 wasn't the best for storyline. So he shows up in the scenario campaign as an enemy. Not because he's evil, but because he's testing Lars, apparently. But when Lars defeats him, Wang reveals he actually knows more about the Mishima Zaibatsu than almost anyone alive. See Azazel there. So like, okay, so we see this Tekken 6 ending. So look, he defeats Azazel, yeah? Probably one of the most evil, powerful entities in the Tekken lore, yeah? Then he uses one final devastating attack. And this is one of his key moves, guys, yeah? Before, like, you're going to see him collapse. And his last words were about his friends. This is beautiful because one day that's going to be our time. I ain't trying to put a downer on you guys, but Tekken was ahead of his time. And I think, you know, the older I got, I see more in this anyway. But okay, so Wang Jin Ray, if that is his last hurrah, it ends in the Tekken 6 storyline, right? By literally sacrificing himself to destroy evil. Now, in a just world, this man would have a statue at a Tekken lobby or something, right? But the ambiguity would be around his death should be worth noting. Does that make sense? So his status is not in the law, is technically listed as unknown. So I was looking this up and it just, you know, meaning the writers left the door open. But okay, if they left the door open, where's everyone else? So let's talk about Wang's actual gameplay and how he plays. Because mechanically, he's just as interesting as he is narratively. And Wang's fighting style is Jin Liu Hu Quan, also known as Zing Liu Quan. He's a rare pick for fighting games. I'm going to tell you why. Because most developers go with like standard Kung Fu, Muay Thai, or kickboxing, right? But look, they're putting a genuine internal Chinese martial artist in this game, which emphasizes rooting, bursting power, and chi development, which you see with Law with the 1-inch punch, and Leroy with the back 1+2 with the 1-inch punch. So in practice, guys, Wang plays actually like a patient predator. And he's got one of the best parries in the game, which has been taken away now. I don't know why. But he rewards close game fighting, if that makes sense. So like, his best moves, I'll tell you his best moves. Okay, you see some of these moves? You see that? He was the original. Now they gave this move to Leroy. Not the same. And then you got this move. Michelle had this move. Okay, you see this move here? Michelle had this move. And this move has been taken away. If the first hit hits, the second one's guaranteed. They gave the same similar move to Leroy. But the second hit is not guaranteed if the first hit hits. But why would you do this? Key moves with Wang that people don't talk about, people forget, was his parry. Yes, they gave Leroy that kind of similar parry, but his parry crushes some of the biggest moves in Tekken you'll ever see. Like, his combos aren't just flashy, but they're clean and they come out so nicely. Look at this parry. Just have a look at this. Look at these parries. This is all Neo. This is what the Matrix copied, guys. And he also had his own Phoenix Smasher, you know? Look at that. He actually got this move as well. His one hits nice and clean. You know what move I miss? Tell you what move I miss. That one. Oh, we got rid of this move, guys. Why would you do that? But yeah, man. He plays like a character who doesn't waste energy. He's just pure elegance. And every move has a purpose. You know, there's no posturing, no theatrics. Wang fights like an old man who's been in real confrontations, not just tournaments, guys. So his item move in Tekken 5 is pretty funny as well. But he's genuinely fun to play, man. Just looking at this. And his style fills a niche that no one else in the Tekken cast could actually cover in so many ways. So, oh man, it's just sad they've got rid of him, you know? It's just a beautiful character to see. The kind of fighter that separates people who understand Tekken defensive systems from people who just want to mash in Tekken 8 and the Leroy problem that I have, right? So if Wang narratively important and mechanically distinct and the franchise goal is to be original, why isn't he in Tekken 7 or in Tekken 8? And this is my honest answer. Because based on what Bamco has done now, yeah? And they said publicly, they said, comes down to two things. Play rates and what some fans have called the Leroy problem, right? So you see Harada has spoken about how the team uses data to decide which character should return. That's why Lay's not there and certain characters are not there. Cool. But how often were they played and how popular were they with competitive and casual audiences? I don't know if that's said. And Wang, while being beloved by a certain segment of fans, I know Phantom plays Wang, he was never top tier in any Tekken. Fang was not top tier. No one's won an Evo with Wang. Sorry, I'm saying Fang. That's going into Street Fighter. He was what you'd call a cult character, guys. And Tekken 7, they introduced Leroy, which was sick. I thought, wow, you got Leroy, an older man. They put a chain on him. They gave him a staff. And why they get rid of old man Wang, who just got pure humbleness and wisdom? And then you gave this guy a fat chain, bling. I was kind of confused, but look, Leroy was popular. I ain't gonna lie. I played Leroy myself. I thought it was funny, even though it was mad broken. And what happened at Evo, Leroy will be remembered for that. Let's not get it twisted now. But look, he got nerfed significantly, and now you hardly see him in tournaments. So as stylish as Leroy is, for me, he's kind of readable, guys, when he goes into that hermit stance. And for me, he doesn't carry that lore that Wang does. Do we have room for both? And the answer is yes, you do. Because Leroy is not as deep as Wang. Look at Wang's endings. Look at his camaraderie with Jinpachi. So maybe they could bring in some rivalry with Wang. That would be sick. You know, Leroy and Wang are not the same character, but they're kind of giving Leroy some of those moves. Yeah, Leroy is a newcomer. If we look at Tekken history now, yeah, with personal vendettas and modern energy, which I don't mind. Wang is a century-old patriarch who has been weaving through Tekken Central narrative since the franchise began. Come on, what are we doing here? Like, their fighting styles are different, but similar. So, but their personalities are completely different. You can like Leroy, that's fine. And the narrative is what holds weight here, guys. Because it's completely different. And replacing Wang with Leroy is like saying you don't need Hiachi because you have Kazuya. What Tekken actually lost by cutting Wang isn't the gameplay, so it's institutional memory that he carries. He's the only Tekken character that's still alive who knew Jinpachi. So you're getting rid of all of that? Yeah, we've talked about his heritage, his narrative, his gameplay, his comparison with Leroy. But for me, guys, honestly, Tekken at its best has always had this dual identity feel. On one hand, it's a competitive 3D fighter built around high skill movement and complex matchups, right? So on the other hand, it has always had this kind of sprawling effect, ancient curses, and characters who have been fighting the same war, like forever, if that makes sense. But I don't know, man. It's such a tricky one because I see a lot of guys that just see him as some old man, and he was more than that. And that's the truth. Wang Jin Ray is actually one of the few characters who bridges those two sides completely. That's just my opinion. And he mechanically distinct enough to have dedicated fans. Like, he's got a mixture of Michelle's moves, Julia's moves, whoever you want to call it. That 4-4-4, that quick 4-4-4. That's not in the moveset anymore. And Gen Z won't know what I'm talking about. But watching this, maybe you might look into the old Tekkens and be like, you know what, Ozzy, you were making some sense, hopefully. Because with Wang gone, guys, the Tekken's cast kind of skews younger, flashier, and less grounded. In my opinion, the people who remember what the Mishima family was before it became this crazy spectacle. So they're disappearing one by one. Jinpachi's gone. I don't think he's ever coming back. Because he was busted, let's be real. He was busted in Tekken 5. I didn't take. You know what? The Tekken Tag 2, for me, probably one of my favorite games. A lot of people didn't like that, but Wang's absent, man. The franchise moral conscience has quietly retired off screen. What did that say about the older guys? You know what I mean? You know what? You man don't want to see older man no more. You want to get rid of us, huh? So, there's actual cultural argument worth making here. Tekken has always provided and prided itself on its global roster. And what does this mean for Chinese martial arts? The bad dubbed ones that I used to watch growing up as a kid. Characters from all corners of the world representing real martial art, guys. Remember, this is real martial art. That form of representation in its truest sense is not there no more. It's not tokenism, but a whole character built around philosophy, physicality of real fighting tradition. That you see these guys practicing on the wooden man, Mokujin, all the time. So his absence also opens up a question for Tekken content creators anyway, and fans that have been wrestling with rosters and adding more bullshit characters. Tekken 8 stopped being a continuation and became something different. I can't really relate to Tekken 8 and make it relate with the other Tekkens, if that makes sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. You can't put it together. It's a separate entity. I really feel that. And Wang Jin Ray must be a fighting game character to some people, but to those of us who followed it from the Tekken 1 duel, who found the meaning in his history, he's over 100 years old. He's more than just a dead friend to Jinpachi. He's more than that. He has to be more than that. Like, he's proof that Tekken used to trust its audience with genuine emotional storytelling, guys. And we could use more of that right now, to be honest, in Tekken 8. Tekken 8, it's a shambles. I don't know what to make of it because I don't want to play it. So what I would like is Wang Jin Ray to come back in some form. I don't think they're going to bring him back. But to be honest, I'm going to make a statement here. I don't know if I want to see him in Tekken 8. That game is too wild. Him up against robots and all of that nonsense. Yeah, I'd like to see him back in Tekken 9 with different developers. With Michael Murray not at the helm. Because that brother's not doing a great job. And it's not that I just miss him. The argument is that Wang fills a role that no one else in the current roster fills. And I didn't know I would feel this, knowing like I'm making a video about him. The emotions that I'm feeling, watching his gameplay and watching the character. It's just beautiful to see. There's actually a strong narrative, a reason to bring him back. But even if he's never coming back, hey, I salute you, Wang. Thank you for the memories, because this reminds me of my childhood. A man who outlived his best friend, and it kind of, that's deep, man, That grieving is deep. And he spent a whole century trying to right an old wrong, who walked into a tournament at over 100 years old and bust up bare man. Not for glory, for peace. And if that's how we remember Wang Jin Ray, that's how we're going to remember Wang Jin Ray. But I will say this, Tekken is a lesser game without him. So let me know, guys, in the comments, who else do you think Tekken has left behind? Let me know. Click like on the video and hit the subscribe button, guys. It helps the channel out. Aussie is out. Peace.